Hello everyone! This week they announced a new expansion for Hearthstone. It's going to be Journey to Unchained, and since I didn't have a Hearthstone video ready yet for this Friday, I figured why not, let's talk about the story of Unchained. This tale takes us way back to the very ordering of Azeroth, the time in which the Titans, they sent out their Titan Keepers to battle with the old gods who had infected the planets. They decided to use their Keepers for fear of doing more damage to the planets, but when the battle against the old god Yashiraj took place, the Titans, they saw no other choice but to intervene. They ripped Yashiraj out of the planet itself, which did exactly what they feared it would do. It left behind a massive wound from which the lifeblood of the Titan spirit resting inside the planet, it started to spill forth. Eventually, the old gods and the Black Empire, they were defeated. The Keepers, they created the Well of Eternity to contain the wound, but the lifeblood, those magical energies, they had already come out. They coalesced together, making areas optimal for development of new flora and fauna. It was the Titan Keeper Freya that went about bringing organic life to the world, searching for these optimal areas and used them to shape immense enclaves of nature. She molded life of astounding diversity, seeding it all around the world. Now the sites where Freya had done her work, they were located at polar extremes of the world, and they included regions that would later become known as the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, Sholazar Basin, and, of course you guessed it, Unchained Crater.
This runestone speaks of a cradle of life. A place where the Titans could create new creatures. Oh, of course, the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. It was a living laboratory, much like Unchained Crater or Sholazar Basin.
There's actually a waygate between Sholazar Basin and Unchained Crater, which was used for questing during Wrath of the Lich King. The undead had found a way into Sholazar Basin, and the avatar Freya, she sent us out to activate the Atomedion, found within Unchained, and use its power to wipe out the invading undead. Like Raffion said, these areas were used as a living laboratory, places where the Titans or the Keepers, they could take a more direct approach and experiment with life, as we learned from watching Nablia in Unchained. Now say that they wanted to know what would happen if one of their creations is exposed to a sulfurous hot spring. They could sit back, wait for millennia, observe and wait for the creature to accidentally stumble and fall in, or in places like Unchained, they could place the creature in the water themselves and see what would happen. No one said that the Titans were kind gods, and over time these creatures, they've soaked up a lot of primal energy within Unchained, picking up the elemental powers around them and making them very adaptable to their surroundings. This is something that you'll see reflected in the expansion, as some of the cards they will allow you to pick one upgrade from 3 different choices, with a total of 10 possibilities. So these adaptable cards, they will get something like Wind Fury or Taunt or Divine Shield, stuff like that. Now why would at least Starseeker and our junior explorers go to such a dangerous place like Unchained? That is for quests, of course. Quests to discover the secrets hidden within the land. You can add one of these quests to your deck that will always be in your hand at the start of the game, and the quest that they showed as an example that had you play 7 Death Rattle minions. Once the quest is complete, you're rewarded with an awesome card. In the example, it was Amara, Warden of Hope, a 5 mana 8/8 minion with taunt that also comes with a battle cry, which would set your hero's health to 40. That's quite an insane card, but your opponent will be able to see what quest you're working for, so it doesn't come as a complete surprise. So back to Unchained, what are some of the quests and the stories that happen there? Well, a lot of stories seems to be based on an old show called The Land of the Lost, which you can actually still find on YouTube, and it's quite amazing to look back. It has the Marshall family, Rick and his children Holly and Will, who are trapped in an alternate universe inhabited by dinosaurs, Pakuni, and aggressive humanoid lizard creatures called the Sleestack. Now, I've never watched the show, so I'm going to take the word for it. Now, they worked hard on surviving this strange land and finding their way back home, while of course also exploring the exotic land of the Lost. In the past, we could find the Marshall expedition to the north of Unchained, but with the Cataclysm, they've been forced to move camp. Even now, a big part of the story, it still evolves around 3 pillars found within the zone, and as we quest, as we go about collecting tar, taking down the Siliphat, the fire elemental Blaze Runner, we collect dinosaur bones and power crystals and seeds and all that, we also investigate the pillars and we report our findings to J.D. Colley. In the past, we just get a book about how we could use these crystals to buff ourselves, but now the questline goes on a little bit further. As an Unchained examinant, it shows up to take us to the Shaper's Terrace and actually speak with Nablia. She tells us more about what Unchained was used for, and that when the Cataclysm struck the world of Azeroth, it disrupted a cloaking mechanism that kept the terrace hidden. At that point, it was only a matter of time until the intelligent races discovered her here, and she decides to show us what exactly it is that they're doing. We get to control a gorilla and talk with the other gorillas. We get to control control a blood petal and challenge another blood petal to combat. We get to control a diametrodon and bite people at martial stance. And we get to control a pterodax and try out the limits of their wings. In essence, we get to experiment and observe. Place that creature in the water simply to find out what would happen, just like the creators do. Sadly enough, with the Cataclysm revamp, we also lost a pretty cool quest that was a reference to Link from The Legend of Zelda. He was an Unguro and he'd lost his memory, which we did our best to fix, but we did get an awesome quest in return. We get to party with Maximilian of Northshire. Now Maximilian is a bit of a loony. I mean, he's the greatest hero that Azeroth has ever seen, and he goes about saving damsels that don't really need saving. He actually pushes one off a cliff, assuming that his squire, the player, would wait for them down below to catch them, or one that he thinks is under attack by a phoenix, but it's actually just her own pet parrot. To his eyes, the dinosaurs within Unguro, they are mighty dragons to be slain while riding on his heroic steed called Pimento. Now thankfully for us, the dinosaurs have evolved and changed over the years. Since some archaeology research, it indicates that they used to be nearly 300 feet long from their tip to their tail. That's longer than some of the largest dragons in existence, and far larger than any dino that currently exists here in the crater. Now Maximilian, he's probably one of the funniest characters that they've added to the game, and I really hope that they'll add him to Hearthstone as well. Maybe we'll even see Lincoln pop up, and as you can tell, there are plenty of Titan influences, there's plenty of old school dinosaurs, and a whole bunch of elemental fun. I can't wait to see this expansion live. I believe it's going to launch in early April, and now hopefully you know a little bit more about the story in Unguro. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I did this one because I felt like it felt right with the announcement, but next time it will be decided by your votes, so by all means let me know which card you want me to talk about in the comments down below. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Unguro Crater.